We're back. Mr. Forensian Bones here. And today we get to start talking about reproduction and development. There's lots of different kinds of organisms out there. Every different type of organism, some very, very small unicellular organisms to very, very large multicellular organisms. And they all have a tendency to reproduce and develop or grow up a little differently. And that's what this unit is about. How do different organisms around the world reproduce and develop? Okay, so here we go. The first thing you have to know is what exactly do we mean by reproduction? Okay, and who exactly has to reproduce in order to ensure that life goes on? Reproduction, by definition, is the life process by which new cells arise from old cells. Okay, new ones come from old ones. Only new cells can come from old cells. They can't come from anywhere else. It can't come from a rock. It can't come from a piece of sand. It can't come from a piece of glass. New cells arise from old cells. Okay, now reproduction is essential for the survival of the species, not necessarily the individual. Okay, if you decide that you never want to have kids when you grow up, that's fine. The human race will continue to move on as long as other people continue to reproduce or other organisms continue to reproduce. Okay, and reproduction doesn't always just mean that you're going to have offspring or kids. Reproduction could just be reproduction of cells in order to help heal a broken bone or something like that. So reproduction has a couple different meanings in there, but it's not just about having offspring. It can also help you repair yourself. So there's two different types of reproduction that we're going to talk about. Asexual reproduction, as you see on the left here, this is a hydra. Okay, hydra reproduces asexually. It's a smaller organism. Unicellular organisms tend to reproduce asexually, which means there's only one parent. We can see over here on the right, the seals, okay, a mommy and a baby seal, they reproduce sexually. There's a little different process with that, and we're going to go over it all. Now, what is the purpose of reproduction? Like I said, reproduction doesn't just mean to have offspring. Okay, one of the main reasons is to produce new offspring, to continue the survival of the species. You can see the cheetahs there, mommy cheetah with her baby cheetahs, okay? But reproduction can also mean to replace or repair cells. So for instance, you can see here this x-ray, there's a broken bone. Well, that broken bone in that hand has to be able to repair itself. And it's through cellular reproduction that that happens, okay? It also adds cells for growth. Everybody here is growing up still. You're getting taller, you're getting stronger, you're getting more muscle cells, your bones are getting longer, okay? So all of that is a result of reproduction. So reproduction, not only do you produce new organisms, but you can also repair and replace the cells that are broken down in your body, and you're adding cells so you can continue to grow. The first type of reproduction we're going to talk about is asexual reproduction. Asexual means one parent cell only. Just like if I go to the store and I get a bagel, I'm getting one bagel. All right. So asexual reproduction involves one parent cell. There's no male cell. There's no female cell. It's just a cell. Okay. Now, offspring that are a result of asexual reproduction are genetically identical to the parent. That means their DNA, the stuff that makes them who they are, is exact copy of the parent. This makes them a clone. A clone is an exact copy of the parent cell. The DNA and the genes that are inside these cells are what are copied over to the offspring. And we're going to take a look at a couple different kinds of asexual reproduction throughout this unit. Now, one form of asexual reproduction is cloning, and that's what we're going to focus on a little bit here today. Now, cloning can be very useful in lots of different scenarios. If you need to possibly clone a new organ, okay, for if you need a kidney transplant, you can clone different organs in order for them to meet your body. Now, the first clone ever to be cloned successfully on this planet was Dolly the sheep. Okay, Dolly was a sheep that was cloned, okay, after an adult sheep. And this is how cloning happens. And I'm going to post a video for you to watch how cloning happens more in detail later. So what happens is you have two sheep, okay? You have two sheep here. One of those sheep is a female. They produce an egg cell. So they take the egg cell out of the female sheep and they remove the nucleus. That's where all the genetic information is, remember? That's where all the DNA is. So they take all the DNA out of this egg cell. They also take the nucleus of the sheep they want to clone. It's this white-faced sheep here in this picture that they want to clone. They want an exact copy of this guy right here. So they take the DNA or the genetic information from the nucleus out of this cell and they place it in the now empty egg cell. So there's only one set of DNA going in there. There's only one set of genetic information that shows how to make the new sheep. It's only coming from this white-faced sheep. There's no genetic information from this black-faced sheep, only the white-faced sheep. So they put them together and the two cells are fused together using some sort of electric shock devices, which will have them fused together. Now, this cell will start to reproduce. It will start to turn into new cells. 1 turns into 2, 2 turns into 4, 4 turns into 8, 8 turns into 16, and so on. Okay? At a certain point, what they do is they take those dividing cells, these embryos, this is going to be the new sheep, hopefully the new sheep of the white-faced sheep up here, and implant it in the uterus of the female sheep. Okay? The uterus is where the sheep is going to grow inside the female sheep until it's ready to be born. When the new sheep is born, it is an exact copy of the single parent sheep from up here above. That's why the new baby sheep has a white face, and this sheep that they cloned has a white face too. This sheep and this one are identical in every single way, all the way down to all of the cells in their body. Please watch the video that I post along with this on cloning for a more in-depth look on how Dolly came to be.